I think of an arresting opening line, and in this case, it was for the second time in 6 weeks, I woke up with the wrong husband.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, that's a good opening line. And then I was thinking, who says that?
Now, you'll know my guest from books like Unravelling Oliver, Skin Deep, and of course, my favourite, Strange Sally Diamond. And I am sorry to those of you who like sleep because Liz Nugent is back with the truth about Ruby Cooper. And we're saying, good morning, Liz. You are going to be keeping so many of us up yet again. So let's start with that. How do you feel about denying people their sleep because the books are just unputtable downable?
I know. Well, that's what they're telling me. I'm delighted if I'm keeping people up at night. It means that they haven't been able to put the book down, and it's that special glue I've applied to all the pages.
Honest to God, you really have. I mean, this new book is brilliant. I'm on chapter 3. And as I said, it's just so good. But let's actually start at the end because is it actually the case that you don't know the ending of a book until you actually sort of are halfway through? You kind of, you
I'd
figure it
say
out as
80%. I'd say
really?
80% is when I decide how it's going to end. Yeah,
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
so how then explain to me how you do write? Like so you do you just get the concept of characters or you get an idea?
No, I tell you, it's the first line. I think of an arresting opening line, and in this case, it was for the second time in 6 weeks, I woke up with the wrong husband.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, that's a good opening line. And then I was thinking, who says that? Who said that? And then I decided, okay, she's an alcoholic. And then I thought, well, why would she be an alcoholic? And then I realized I wanted to write about sisters because I've done brothers, I've done mothers and children, I've done fathers and children, but I've never written about sisters. And I have four sisters myself.
Okay.
And so I wanted to write about sisters, and I knew that in the course of the story, I wanted to separate them physically so that one would be far away and
Mm,
one would be at home in Dublin. But I had done that before in Strange Sally Diamond. The
mm.
two siblings, one grows up in New Zealand and one grows up in Ireland.
Ireland, yeah.
So I didn't want it to be New Zealand. So I decided Boston was a place because it would be where the Irish would have gravitated towards in immigration times. The
Mm.
Irish would have gone to Boston. So Ruby's mother is Irish, fully Irish, and she has always wanted to get back to her home place.
Yeah, it's really good. And I just love that you just get that one line that opens the book and straight
Yeah,
away people are hook, line and sinker. They're in.
yeah.
And there's an
It was.
incident.
I had to think of a reason for her alcoholism, and that's how I came up with what we will refer to as the
The
incident.
incident, yeah. Now I know the incident because it happens very early on in the book, and we don't want to give away any spoilers. But you've said movements like the Me Too movement and the I Believe Her has influenced the writing and the plot line of this book as well.
Sure. Well, in fact, the Me Too thing movement kind of everybody got caught up in that, and I think that was a good thing because it wasn't just it wasn't just rapists. It was people who had sexually assaulted people in any way, people who had harassed women, people who had, talked disparagingly about women's bodies. They were all caught up in the same thing. And I thought that was a very good thing because that's how it starts. It starts with the casual comment and the lads all laugh, you know?
Mm.
And then it graduates onto groping in a nightclub and the lads all laugh. And then like, every little microaggression accumulates into something so that it's more acceptable. Like anybody who's seen the Louis Theroux documentary over the last couple of days knows what I'm talking about. These microaggressions become huge and out of control, and like the increase in violence against women is so horrific. So I wanted to look at the Me Too movement, but through a very different lens, shall we say. And I have created this character, Ruby, who I have to say from the outset is incredibly unusual. What she does is not the case. I think it's
And
less than 1% of women do what Ruby
what
does.
Ruby does, and you say she's unusual. She's not always likable as well.
Oh no.
And is it more fun to write someone who you know will piss people off?
I don't go into, I don't set out to piss people off, but I try to make the character as compelling as possible. Like in the beginning of the novel, we have so much sympathy for her, and she's kind of a lost child. And then we kind of realize that maybe she's done something like unspeakable, and you know, it's very hard to talk about without giving it
I
away, isn't it?
know, I know it is. And how much, I mean, just when I heard you talking about Louis Theroux's documentary there, I got so angry watching that I haven't even gotten to the end of it. But it is just, it's sort of, it's to know that this is the world that we're living in. I've got two daughters,
Oh
but even
God.
just talking to like mothers of sons, it is a very difficult and challenging time. And but just the anger that I felt watching that documentary, and also feeling sorry for those guys. I mean, how much of your world goes into the books? Like when you watch something like that, first of all, what did you think of that documentary? How do you,
Well,
how do you think it played
to
out?
be honest, I wasn't entirely surprised, and nor did I think it was something brand new. I mean, like the Catholic Church here ruled, we lived in a patriarchal society until relatively recently. That women had to give up their jobs, and like everybody was a trad wife in Ireland up until, I'd say, up until the mid 70s when the women's movement started. But everybody was a trad wife. Everybody stayed home and had babies. And you know, we did live in a manosphere. But and worse, it was kind of secret. Like all of the mother and baby homes, they were all a secret. So there was a lot going on in Ireland in the manosphere, but undercover. At least these guys, we know their faces. You know, we know who to avoid. But I think it's really up to fathers to talk to their sons, and to fathers to set an example as to how they treat their wives, you know, so that the boys can grow up seeing that a man respects his wife and doesn't dismiss her opinions. It's really important for young men to have good role models in their fathers.
100%. And there are
Like we put too much responsibility onto women, like mothers must do this, mothers must do that. I think fathers have to do a hell of a lot. I was talking to somebody the other day about Mother's Day, and she was talking about that, like the responsibility of being a mother, and I was kind of thinking about it. I'm not a mother, but I have to say, the number of mothers I know who doubt their own parental abilities is astonishing. And I have never, ever heard a man express doubt about his parental responsibilities. You know?
yeah.
And women are always questioning themselves and doubting themselves and wondering if they've done the right
Have I done
thing. And
enough? And
yeah, have I done enough? You're doing enough, women, mothers. You're doing your best, and that's all that's required. You know,
I do
really.
have to
And
say, though, I do have to say, when I watched that documentary, I mean, there are so many good men out there, and there are so many good
oh, yeah, I
boys that are
married
trying to, yeah, exactly. And it's and to be honest, I felt sorry for some of the guys who are just, I just
they're
felt.
pathetic little children, most of them,
Yeah, and don't have the kind of the brain power to know that they're being targeted by these big
Yeah.
corporations and social
And
media. Anyway, that's a
and
whole.
honestly, but also, didn't Louis point out that none of these men had fathers in their
Yeah,
lives
yeah,
growing up?
yeah,
I
absolutely.
thought that was very interesting.
Very interesting.
You know,
Um,
fathers need to step up and play their
yeah,
roles.
and be there. Just be there.
Hmm.
Liz, tell us a little bit about your own health, because I know the last few years, among all of the success, things haven't been easy for you health wise. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I have a disobedient right knee. I
Okay.
am. and I had some, I had a brain hemorrhage when I was a kid, and it left me with a weakness on my right hand side. So my right leg and my right arm don't behave properly.
Okay.
So they don't get the messages that my brain is sending them. So I had a kind of a big accident in 2019 and ended up in hospital for 12 weeks where I dislocated my kneecap and broke my tibia. But it couldn't be because I have this condition called dystonia. They couldn't operate because it was just the muscles in that part of my body are just overreactive. And so I cannot have like I'm no cartilage left on my right knee, but I can't
Gosh,
have a knee replacement operation because of the dystonia. It would just cause too much pain.
pain. God.
So my right knee is kind of slowly disintegrating, and I'll be on a stick, I'd say, in the next couple of years. I'm trying to stave off the wheelchair for as long as I can. But yeah, I'm doing okay though. I don't have extreme pain the way I
The
did.
way you used
I
to.
had some minor brain surgery in 2023, the end of 2023, and that was supposed to kind of fix some of the symptoms of the dystonia. But in fact, I lost the use of my right arm completely as a result of that operation for about 6 months.
And are you left-handed or
And
right-handed? Like, do you write with your left or right?
I was right-handed, and then I after the brain hemorrhage, I had to switch to
Okay,
my
to
left
the left
hand, and
hand.
it was funny because I was having all this physiotherapy to get my right hand back working, but gradually my left hand would take the pen from my right hand. So I type all my books with one hand,
Wow.
um, with my left. Well, people say wow, and then you think of like Shakespeare, who wrote everything with one hand and a feather, and
Yeah.
no spell check or grammar check. You know,
Well,
I
listen, all we
don't
want you
think
to
it's
do is
that.
keep writing the brilliant books
Yeah.
that you do, and continued good success, Liz, and continued good health. And the book, as I said, Liz's new book, Liz Nugent's new book, is The Truth About Ruby Cooper. It is out now, and it is unputtable downable, as I made up myself. Liz, thanks a million for chatting to me this morning.
Thank you, Catherine. Lovely to talk to you.
You too.